How are y'all doing? I gotta tell you, it kind of sucks to be last because I have to follow all these amazing people. This has been an incredible week. I've been doing this for 4 years or 5 years now in Mexico, and this was the best one I've ever seen, right? Right? Unbelievable, unbelievable. So, yeah, my name is Mitch Ribeck, short, bald, try to be funny sometimes, but not too usual. Ask my wife, she will tell you that. I've got a very little bit of time to get through about 2 hours worth of stuff, so we're gonna go right into it. Chronic entrepreneur. I've owned 24 businesses. I've made tons and tons of money. I always tell people I made millions and millions of dollars, just lost a little bit more. Kind of a bummer. Yeah, it happens. But I want to tell you one story of those, because I think it's important. Is anybody going through a tough time, tough market, right? Some people, because I think it's important to understand that most of your time in your life is just a blip in time. And when I turned 60 years old, I analyzed my life, and it was a really cool thing. I know, I don't look like I'm 60, I've heard that all the time. But I analyzed my life, and it was really interesting because I've had hell in my life. Who else had hell? Who's had really sucky life sometimes? Come on, we all have, right? And so I looked back at my life, and it was really amazing. I added up every day, every month, every year of my bad life, and it was only 3%. That means I'd have a 97% wicked awesome life. How cool is that, right? But one of the most telling times in my life to understand a blip in time was in I started a paintball business, which is pretty awesome. I was the biggest paintball business, the third paintball business in the world, and the biggest in the world. And of course, my best friend partner stole a couple $100,000 from me, so that dissolved pretty quickly. And then I did what everybody does. I bought a restaurant. Awesome. And by the way, owning a brokerage is worse than owning a restaurant. We'll get to there in a minute. Anyway, so a year into the restaurant, I'm in the hospital with pancreatitis from stress. Doctors told me I could die from what I'm going through. I'm like, that's good. And then my dad, the same day, goes on the heart transplant list. So I made the decision that day to walk away from it with about $450,000 in debt, 2 little kids, pretty much a mess. And I spent the next 4 months with my dad I get choked up every time I talk about this. 4 months with my dad every single day, 8 hours a day. And it took me, and then I spent a year and a half being miserable. My dad died 4 months later, after a heart transplant, died 2 weeks later. And I spent the next year and a half in desperate misery. And I've never done that before, because I've always been, you guys know me, I'm always happy. But anyways, so we, about a year and a half into it, I had this whole thing that came to my head. I was like, wow, if I didn't lose the restaurant, which was the worst business thing that's ever happened in my life, I didn't spend those 4 months every single day with my dad. Priceless, right? Priceless. So when you're going through these bad times, life sucks sometimes. Am I allowed to say that? I don't know. I was like, Brian, where's Brian? I was going to drop the F-bomb. Thanks for saving me on that. But anyway, so just think when you go through these times, it's the beginning of the best times of your life. Because from there on, my life changed dramatically. I ended up starting the first online dating service. Right? Anybody use an online dating service? Anybody single? Right? If you need dating advice, I'm really good at it. My wife's up there, by the way. Hi, wife. And so I started the online dating service, and I'm back on my feet. Everything's going good. I'm making a ridiculous amount of money. I get the company under contract. I have to move because of part of the deal was lowering expenses out of Boston. If you can't tell I'm from Boston, I park my car still. And I go down to Florida. I was doing a radio show at a Universal called Ask Mitch the Date Doctor, which is really fun. I made fun of single people for an hour on 45 radio stations every week. It was great. And there's so much material there, right? And anyway, so I'm 2 months away from closing. I'm really, really rich at 40 years old. And does anybody remember 2000, April of 2000? The internet bubble kind of went, I was one of those victims. I managed to lose $82 million in about 6 weeks. So I went from really, really rich to really, really poor. And then my buddy Joe and by the way, I ran the company for another year trying to stay alive because we still had some money left, but raising money at that point was impossible. And my buddy Joe from Boston, he's like, Mitch, you should get into real estate. And I'm like, I hate effing realtors. Why would I do that? Every realtor I ever had was terrible. And he goes, yeah, but you learned from those people that were so bad to become so good. So I got my license, sold 36 homes my first year, 50 my second, 80 my third, 80 my fourth. I actually think selling real estate is probably the easiest thing I've ever done in my life. Well, no, paintball was much easier, much more fun. But it was really easy. And then I started a team, and then the year later started a brokerage, built it up to 120 agents. And at 56 years old, looked in the mirror and go, what happens if I die today? And I was like, everybody knows, because who's the next broker? They're all vultures, right? As soon as you die, every broker's calling every one of your agents. And so it's true. It's true. I've seen it. And so anyway, so I sat there looking in the mirror, which I do with my accountability every morning. I'm like, what happens if I die? And I have a granddaughter. In fact, my wife just sent me a picture of my granddaughter and me playing guitar together. Is my Y, right? And she has a very rare disease, so and she's doing great. She's graduating high school this year. She turns 18 next week. Unbelievable. And but I'm like, what happens if I die? And the reality is my family gets absolutely nothing. So I said, I'm going to sell the business. So I went out there, put some feelers out there, got 2 offers for about $3.5 million, which, by the way, we weren't making any money, so that's pretty good. Any brokers never made money, right? No money in brokerage. I said, worst business in the world. But anyway, so they're telling me how I get paid. I get a little money in the first year, a little money in the second year, and 70% of the money is the final year, if you retain all 120 agents I have at the time. I'm like, wait a minute, you didn't say that when we started talking 2 months ago. So basically I said, when suddenly there were these 2 guys in suits, and I was in my suit because I always wear suits, and I said, so let me get this straight. So if half my agents leave, and because you guys are terrible, I'm going to be nice, I'm not going to use the words I actually used, and my $3.5 million goes down to 1.75. They said, yeah. I go, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. And I walked away, and I fired 50 agents in about a week. All my agents that were draining me every day, killing me because they weren't ever going to sell a house, I got rid of. Called Jason Guessing, who I adore, and I said, Jason, you're going to be at Inman? He goes, yeah. And now Jason, I later learned, did not want to meet with me because I'd already talked to him 3 times. So I said, the hardest thing holding me, and this is really important when you're talking to brokerages, guys, the hardest thing holding me back is I spent 13 years building this amazing brokerage, which it was. The only person who wasn't making money was me, minor detail. And he just said, be Tropical Realty brokered by EXP. Now the reality is, if he had said that to me 2 years ago when I started talking to him, I probably would have joined 2 years earlier. He didn't say that. So to me, I had to give up everything I built. When you're talking to brokerages, it's their baby. You cannot discount what they've built. Their egos are way here, and their pocketbooks are way there, right? It's just the reality, right? My best year as a broker, with 120 agents, 700 transactions, I made 200 grand. I made more than that selling houses by myself with no headaches. I didn't sleep. I really will tell you that if I kept my brokerage today, I don't think I'd be alive. I think the stress was so heavy. I don't know if we'd be married. I remember sitting there with my wife one day, and we were having a conversation, and she's looking at me, and she goes, so she's talking for like 10 minutes or 20, because she's my wife, and she can do that. And, sorry, honey. And then she looks at me, and she goes, you're not hearing a word I'm saying. I go, no, I didn't hear a word you said. And that was really part of my life. So anyway, switched over to EXP in 2017 with 45 agents. Now I think it was 2,200 and change. I was 2,238 this morning. Life-changing to say the least, but the best part, if I die today, I know my wife and my family's taken care of. That's it. And that's all I care about. I'm going to go because I don't have a lot of time. I got a lot of stuff I want to talk to you about. First of all, start with your friends, right? You don't need to go getting whales like, and by the way, just to make a note there, Howard Fritz, the guy that recruited me, changed his life, right? He's got 1,800 plus agents and 5 FLQAs, right? Changed his life. And I'm not an FLQA. He was trying to get me to sell a house. Think of it like an internet lead. Every product in the world has the same sales cycle. You capture a lead, you nurture leads, you close a lead, and you create a customer for life. Attraction is the same thing. You meet people today that might be interested, and you got to talk to them. If you're not talking to them, guess who else is? Somebody else, right? So you can't say you've talked to someone and they went and joined over there when you didn't talk to them for 6 months. Understand, when you're talking to brokers, they do not make any money, right? Most brokerages, I talk to them all the time. I talked to a broker the other day, 15 agents. I go, how you doing? She goes, oh, we killed it last year. It was unbelievable. And I go, well, let me look at your numbers because that tells the story. So I took all of her numbers out, and I go, you understand you didn't make any money last year. She goes, no, I made $500,000. I go, you made $500,000. Your brokerage lost $7,500. Most small brokers don't even know their life sucks because it's too much in their ego, right? And then finally on attraction is words matter. And why do words matter? So when I first started doing attraction, I didn't know how to do it. Even though I had 120 agents in my brokerage, I never once picked up the phone and called an agent. I did 0 recruiting. Didn't know how to do it. So so when I'm coming in, I thought attraction was the best thing since sliced bread, right? That's why I joined. And I'm telling you, yeah, you can recruit agents, you can make $100,000 a year, you'll never have to sell a house again. Nobody joined. Like, nobody joined. So I learned these words. First I learned, start with production always. And then during the interview process, figure out if they're an entrepreneurial spirit. If they're not an entrepreneurial spirit, you don't have the conversation. They don't want to, nobody, you guys are the only people in the company that really want to make money in rev share. Right? And that's why you're here. So I learned these words and they changed everything. It was, if you introduce, not recruit, if you introduce 2 people a year to the company over the next 3 years, and those 6 people introduce just 1, that's up to $36,000 a year in referral fees. Get it? Introduce. Everybody introduces. We've all introduced people to other brokerages. And everybody knows what referral fees are. When I changed those words, I went from like 20, 25% joining to 80, 90% joining. Changed everything. All right. I want to tell you how to sell houses real quick. Most realtors, I'm a big passion in this right now because I'm seeing this all the time. How many people sell more than 50 homes a year? That's true. All right. So I'm going to show you how to sell 50 homes a year in a little bit of time. But most people that sell a lot of homes actually built a crappy job. Are you running a business or do you have a crappy job? If you are working 80 hours a week, you have a crappy job. If you're working 60 hours a week, you have a crappy job. The most important job you have, mother, father, grandfather, grandmother, right? Son, daughter, I don't care what you are, but that is your most important job in this life. I didn't realize until I was 60 years old that I did not see my children grow up. I couldn't tell you 5 things that I did with them. Hurts. It's very painful. Can't get the time back. All right. Open your phones. Everybody got a phone? Open your phone real quick. I only got a few seconds to get this done. Open your phone, go to your contacts, and scroll to the bottom. And if it's a new iPhone, there's a little thing that says list up there. And then somebody yell out, how many contacts do you have in your phone? 9,000. How many? 9,000. Wow. 15,000. All right, I'm going to go just for the sake of time. I got to go through this. 7 out of 100 of your contacts are going to buy or sell a home this year. And none of you, probably, none of you have ever exported your contacts out of your phone and built a database of those people. Every business I've ever owned, there's only one thing I've did with every business is in common, is I built a foundation for that business. The foundation is who is my customer, where is my customer? Everybody starts this business in buying Zillow leads or getting suckered into a broker that's going to take 50% or 75% of their money with leads. You have it all in the palm of your hand, literally. Right? Export them, and I want you to do this. And I'm going to talk about, there's 2 different programs. We're going to talk about one real quick. Is I want you to export that, and I want you to contact every single one of them and say, hey, Bill, I'm updating my contact list. What's your email address? Really tough, right? That's it. I just did this with an agent I'm coaching right now. She had 1,200 contacts. She got 800 emails. 800 emails equals 56 sales this year. Why do people use you as a realtor? Give me some words, quick. No, they could kill less about you. We're cockroaches. We're everywhere, right? Think about that. They only have 20 realtors. We're all over the place. Look, they go one. Sorry. Sometimes I think, and luckily I think funny things that I don't say because I get in a lot of trouble. All right. So the reason why they use you is because you're in front of them when they're thinking about buying or selling, and that is the only reason. I've sold 1,000 homes, 950 plus customers. I can tell you on one hand how many are loyal to me. Right? That's the reality. 88% say they will use their realtor again, only 11% do. If you do this, you will start a very, very great business, not a job, where it's predictable on how much business you get every month. And here's what I want you to do. You're going to do every month, you're going to send an email. And this is all email, by the way. It's called chicken shit marketing. You're going to send an email, and it's going to be, hey, one of the things I get to do as a realtor is keep my friends updated on the local market, and you're going to copy and paste what the board sends you, which is all the stats, right? And you're going to end it with what I say there. As you know, as a realtor, I work by referral only, and I could really, really use your help. If you know someone looking to buy or sell a home, could you send me their contact info? That's email number 1. 2 weeks later, one of the fun things I get to do as a realtor is give you my top 10 things to do in Cocoa Beach. That's where we live, in Cocoa Beach. You go online, you find 10 cool things in Cocoa Beach. Well, you guys don't want to find them in Cocoa Beach because you'd be selling my stuff. And you end with the exact same line. If you do this every other week consistently forever, you will sell 7 out of 100 of your contacts, you'll sell a house every year. Really simple. I am perfect on timing. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great week. Bye.